Hey everyone, welcome to the ninth consecutive day of YouTube Live. Today's episode is going to be about cohort-based courses. What are they? What are the opportunities in this space? And why is it so popular right now? Okay, to start it off, Siddharth, can you give us a couple of examples of what cohort-based courses are?
Yeah, I think the biggest one right now in the world probably is by this guy called Tiago Forte. He's based out of LA and does this course called Building a Second Brain, which is basically helping you design a knowledge management system for you as an individual, right? If that doesn't make any sense, it's
Yeah.
basically a combination of productivity tools and where you take your notes and how you organize your information, all of that. Um, that course goes out for $1,500 on the basic edition, $3,000 on the premium, and there's a platinum or whatever, which is $5,000.
$1,500 is a lakh.
Yes,
$3,000 is 2 lakhs. What the hell is
exactly.
so important in this course?
Exactly, right? So this is a 6 week course, and guess the number of people that are in the latest cohort.
10.
1,500 people, right? This is one guy. I mean, there's a full team behind it and a group of mentors and stuff like that. But this one guy created this huge cohort based course that rakes in more than a couple of $1 million for a 6 week program.
15 crores, like 1 lakh multiplied by 1,500.
Yeah.
That's 15 crores from a 6 week course. Holy.
Exactly. So before I should qualify this. This guy has been doing this for decades now, or years now. He's been in this space of productivity management and notes and all of that thing for a while. And this is why he's able to pull this kind of, the number of people and the kind of money. But there are other courses also. Again, I'm going to stick to the US before I come to India right now, because that's where it really got popular first, especially during COVID. David Perel does this writing course, art of clear
Rite of
right,
passage. The
rite
art
of
of
passage,
the rite of passage.
rite of passage. That's about $3,000 or something like that, an obscene amount of money again, for a 12-week writing course, right? How do you become a better writer, especially on the internet, and how do you build your voice on the internet and stuff like that? And there are a bunch of other people, somebody doing it for YouTube, like how do you become better at YouTube. That's a 900 or $1,000 course right there. There's actually a company called Maven, started by Gagan Biani, who is the co-founder of Udemy, which is basically a platform for these cohort based course creators. Lenny, who has this product management newsletter, also started a cohort based course. Right now, come back to India. There's Abhinav Chikara of 10K Designers. We spoke to him. He's building a cohort based course as we speak, a 12-week course on design, on UI UX design. Amit Verma, Sahil and I actually both took that course. I think Sahil learned a lot more than I did because he's doing all the writing now. But Art of Clear Writing, which was, I think, 4 week long course on
Yeah.
just becoming a better writer. Stoa School, we actually hosted Raj, who's one of the co-founders, on our Business Munchies episode. Stoa School is a startup MBA, a 12-week long startup MBA, or 24-week now, I think. Startup MBA, cohort-based course. So a ton of activity happening in this space. And before we go deeper into this thing, let's start there. What are cohort-based courses?
Wait, but first, Siddharth, weren't you supposed to release Raj's episode today? I haven't seen it on our
I am
podcast.
yet to edit it. I'm yet to edit it. I will do it. So I do it before 12 a.m. That's my deadline. I will do it. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, what was your question again?
What are cohort-based courses?
Okay, so cohort-based courses, as I understand it, and as I've experienced it, are these courses led by people who are subject matter experts. So, for example, Amit Verma, he's a very famous podcaster. He's a very famous writer. He has a 4 week long cohort-based course. And when you say cohort, it means like it's a small group of people. In the case of Tiago Forte, it's 1,500. That's pretty big. But cohort, these are groups of people who are doing it together. In Amit Verma's case, it was about 30, 40 of us who were doing it together for 4 weeks, learning about writing from somebody who knows how to write quite well. And then later on, usually these cohorts, these groups of people, they come together and they usually make a kind of community. So the Art of Clear Writing community is still extremely active. We took it about a year ago, and the people on that group are still super active. And the whole point is that you do these courses with other people who are passionate about this, so that you're learning from the creator, but you're also learning from the community around you. And also, there used to be these things called MOOCs, which are massive online courses.
Yeah,
Massive online something courses. The finish rate for that is only around 5% or 10%. It's very, very small. Think about like Coursera. You start a course on Coursera and you never finish it, unless you're really, really interested in that thing, right? But in the case of this, the completion rate is much higher. It's something along the lines of 75, 85% of the participants actually finish the course. That's usually because the other members are there, and you probably also feel bad about paying $1,000. So you probably want to finish. So yeah, so this is what a cohort-based course is. It's usually led by an influencer, somebody who has a large audience. So that is a cohort-based course. So question for you, Siddharth, why are cohort-based courses so hot right now?
So I think COVID has a big role to play in this. As soon as COVID hit, bunch of people were back at home and they were trying to sort of find new ways to upskill themselves, right? One way to do it, as you said, is just take an online course. But as you know, without an instructor, just pre-recorded lectures just don't cut it, right? People have realized that's not how you can really learn, and people started finding these cohort-based courses.
Dude, by the way, I've tried to learn coding like 5 times online, and each time I've failed. I'll do it for a couple of weeks very diligently, and then I always give up. Anyways,
exactly.
Sorry.
Because most of the times the cohort based these online courses are started by people who have that spike in motivation to say that I'm going to go out and do this. But like everything, the motivation eventually dips and you just give up on the course because there's no accountability. These are fairly like low paid courses, not that high payment and stuff like that, right? So cohort based courses, one, it's guided. The other thing that's important is it's not by a professor, right? It's not by an academician or something like that. These are people who've been doing the exact same thing that you want to get better at for ages now, right? So people who've really sort of learned it on the job, try to figure it out themselves, are the ones who are taking these cohort based courses. And the other thing I think is the community angle that you mentioned. As people started joining these courses and sticking around the community, and they realized that a lot of value is just in that community of other people who are on the same journey, just bouncing ideas back and forth, keeping each other accountable. All of those things happen in the cohort based courses. Over the last year, they have just blown up. People have been doing millions of dollars in sales just selling cohort based courses.
But on that point, I just want to make one point, is that there are very few creators who are able to sustain those millions of dollars of revenues for a long time. What usually happens is that an influencer, somebody famous, starts a new cohort-based course, sees a huge spike in the first couple of cohorts, and then sees a huge dip afterwards because they're not able to maintain it for whatever reason. That's happened to a lot of creators, and also the creators themselves eventually lose interest in doing this for so long. You might be like the first time you see a 50 lakh check, you're like, yes, I'm going to do it. But then you kind of start losing steam over time. Okay, that said, moving on. So these are the type of people who join cohort-based courses, people who are really motivated. And these are the kind of people who do it. But like, who exactly should create a cohort-based course? So that who should go out and create one of these?
You have to have a very specific niche practical skill that people want to learn, right? Like
I'm gonna get a niche tattoo on my chest. It's like giant, like niche. And I'll do all of these future video calls without a shirt. It's like niche.
I'm out of this. I'm definitely out of this. But yeah, so it has to be specific niche skill that people really care about. And you can figure that out by just keyword searches and communities that are there on Reddit and stuff like that on what people care about, right? Digital marketing, maybe not as hot right now, but Facebook, Google courses back in the day could have been one of these skill sets. Right now, Notion, for example, Notion and Rome courses, Rome is another note-taking app which you guys should check out. It's very interesting. It's like coding for your brain or something like that. A network thought is what they try to call it. But I digress. There are courses for these kind of tools. There are courses for Webflow. There are courses for Bubble, right? So very specific niche skill that you want to teach, and where there's demand. Who should go out and create one? You need to have some sort of an audience already, right? Don't assume that just because you will create a course, you will be able to go out and get people to sign up, because people want to sign up for people who have credibility, some sort of credibility already established. How do you go do this credibility? How do you go build out this credibility? Is by giving a lot of free content first, right? If you're going to try and develop a Webflow course, can you create a lot of free content, and this same content can then be packaged together and design it in a way which becomes a course, but you need to give out a lot of free content. To give you an example, Abhinav Chikara, the guy that we spoke to, he's built 10K designers. Before he built that, he started creating YouTube videos 2 years before that, right? All of this
and
content
he did
was
it
free.
consciously. He did it consciously.
Exactly. So he was trying to build an audience. He wasn't sure that he's going to build a cohort based course out of it, but he was sure that I want to build a community of 10,000 designers, right? And cohort based course happened to be the product that he sold to the community eventually. But he started creating content where the credibility was established. He had a decent social media following at that one time, and that's when he launched 10K designers. So if you have these sort of characteristics going for you, a niche skill, a decent following, and something that you have a very deep experience in, that you can start creating free content for, cohort based courses might be a great way to monetize.
Okay, great. So that if you were us and you had this very big audience of 5 people watching all our YouTube videos, what kind of cohort-based course would you build? Or what are the opportunities in this space?
So there's no point going into topics, right? The topics are far and wide. Somebody is doing a cohort-based course on how do you build an online audience, or how do you build a Twitter audience, right? That's one of the cohort-based courses that's happening right now.
There are so many courses being sold online for that.
Yeah.
On how to build an audience. Anyway.
And some of them are scammy for sure, but some of them are from legit people where you're like, oh yeah, I mean, they've done a really good job. It might be interesting learning from them. Then there are courses on no-code tools. There are courses on, the startup MBA. There are courses on product management. So the fields are really far and wide. I know Sahil's wife does a sort of cohort-based course on gardening, right? Like that's a niche that you could potentially focus on. As you can see, a lot of plants there. But more than that, I think I want to focus on the opportunities on, again, like one of those things that we are very, we always get attracted by is selling shovels during a gold rush, right? What is the infrastructure play here that you could build? There's a company in the US that does just this, basically gives the infrastructure for cohort based course creators to come on and manages all their backend and, subscribing or signing up and all of those things. Application process called Maven. Could you do something similar for India? India maybe has a different audience, right? Could you do something similar for India? Is there opportunity in the vernacular content, right? Can vernacular micro courses become a hit? And if so, can you find a bunch of these creators, sort of build a marketplace of sorts?
Also, I think what I would also do is I would create niche specific tools. So for example, somebody who's building a cohort-based course for writing will have very different requirements from somebody building a cohort-based course for coding. Because the coding people might require a lot of coding kind of screen or something like that, while the writing one might require a space where everybody can put their assignments and then they can get feedback over there from the entire audience. So obviously, if you can find a niche where there's a lot of courses being built in that niche, writing, for example, and no-code tools as another example, maybe build a tool for them specifically. That this is for writers who want to teach.
Yeah. And we've discussed this previously on one of our episodes.
Going into a niche in a niche.
We've discussed this in one of our previous episodes also, where a community, as you said, community is a big part of a cohort-based course. Can you build a community management tool, right? Which is once you've taken the course, this is where you'll hang out and stuff like that. That's an opportunity that could serve this segment. The other one that I'm extremely excited by.
Oh, sorry. Within the community idea, can you manage their community for them?
That's a great, yeah.
For example, Amit Verma I think he's done at least like, I think he's done like 10 or 12 of his courses now. So there must be at least like 600-700 people who've done his course. And so he has a community of 600-700 people. Amit Verma also runs a podcast. He also writes on a regular basis. I'm sure he does not have the capability to manage his community. This is just one example, and he's not even that big compared to other people.
Yeah.
Can you manage the community for them? So community management as a service. Anyway, Siddharth.
Which could eventually lead into a product. So service to product journey is a lot of what bootstrappers do, and this is a great way to build a business. But one of the other ideas that I'm excited by, Zoom has finally opened up its APIs, and these cohort-based courses have specific requirements on breakout rooms and doing discussions, smaller group discussions and all of that. Some of the functionality is inbuilt on Zoom, but could you find an opportunity where you build an app on top of Zoom that enables these cohort-based courses to function really well, right?
Or another super simple idea. Siddharth is really good at Notion. So just build a kind of Notion HQ or a Notion operating system for somebody to run their entire cohort-based course. So they have all of their documents saved over there. They have all of their tasks that they need to do for each cycle saved over there. And all they have to do is they just have to open it up and then just recycle again for the next cycle of students that they get. Make that template and sell the template.
Yeah.
It might sound stupid, but people have built this kind of operating system for podcasts and newsletters, and they made hundreds of $1,000s selling it for like $30. So there's people have issues, and you just have to find a way to solve it.
Yeah, exactly. But moving on from the opportunities, right? I think one of the things that I do want to mention is this doesn't seem like a fad, right? It's a lot of things happen in the education space and stuff like that might be fad. This is not a fad, because this can potentially replace diploma courses. This can replace all these certification courses that were just useless because there's no community angle involved in all of that. And a lot of creators are finding ways to monetize their following. And if they have a specific skill set, like Lenny has skill set in product management, he's gone out and created a course that he's going to run maybe once a year, and not do it for the rest of the year. So it's not like these guys have become educators per se, but this is one additional sort of offering that they can have in their entire creator bucket, right? So as the creator economy goes up, so will the cohort-based courses.
Awesome. I think this was a great conversation about cohort-based courses. This episode was sponsored by Airtel and Puma. Please go out and buy Puma Airtel bundle.
Okay, now we're going to send this to Airtel and Puma, and hopefully they will actually sponsor it. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, comment. Atin, thank you so much for commenting on our videos. You're the only sort of viewer, I think, that comments. So thank you for being the early supporter. If we ever make it big, we're going to keep like thanking you whenever we make it big.
Okay. Thanks.